when they lost 3-0. I'm sure it's one of the things that Graham Leggett will ask Bobby Leonarduzzi, and he's standing by with the 86ers coach.
Bobby, you're playing without 4 regulars who are in international duty in LA. That's a big strain for any club.
Well, it is. Initially, we had 3 that weren't with us, and we expected that. But when Craig Forrest was ejected, as he was against Honduras, Tony Waiters called for Paul Dolan. And at that stage, I wasn't going to deprive Paul of the opportunity to play with the national team. So we were weaker as a result, but the bottom line is the players that we've got in our dressing room now are more than capable of getting the result for us.
Now, the result for you, a win tonight, you hope. Coming off your first loss of the season against Toronto, not very often that the 86ers are shut out.
No, it's not. And on the night, that was probably what we deserved. We didn't play particularly well. We didn't seem to have any zip or enthusiasm. And I guess the fact that we've been back and forth 3 times over the past month may have taken its toll on us. But credit to Toronto. They were minus a few players as well. And we were well beaten on the night. But one of the strengths of our side has always been that we're able to rebound from a bad performance. So we'll be looking to do that tonight.
In a nutshell, then, what's the key to rebounding this evening?
The key to rebounding is to match them for their enthusiasm. Because if you go man for man in terms of skill, I believe that we have the superior skill level. But if we don't match them for their work rate, which they're very good at, and Drew's got them working well, and he's got them playing good soccer. So we've got to match them for their intensity, and hopefully the rest looks after itself after that.
Bobby, thanks for joining us.
As I say, Kitchener also affected as they are missing 4 players, 2 of them in Los Angeles, in first stringers Peter Gilfillan and forward Scott Munson. So patchwork lineups for both teams as they get ready to kick off here at Centennial Stadium. It is Vancouver and Kitchener, the Molson CSL match of the day here on TSN. Crowder along with Graham Leggett as we get ready for this matchup between the 86ers and the Kickers, and it's cool after what's been going on in southern Ontario, around 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and yes, a chance of rain. Graham, let's take a look at the starting 11 for the Vancouver 86ers.
Well, the Vancouver 86ers are going with Merkel in goal. He replaces Paul Dolan, of course. The back 4, Norman, Young, McDonald, and Burns. The midfield trio of Sound, McKinty and Evans, and up front Mark Carpin, Dominic Mobilia and Norm Odinga.
With Paul Dolan in Los Angeles, the starting keeper for Vancouver is their second string. Rob Merkel, the 25-year-old, in his 4th CSL season, comes into the game with a 1.50 goals against and no shutouts. The starting 11 for their player coach, general manager, does it all, Drew Ferguson.
Well, they're going to go with a 4-3-3 as well. Big 6'7" Scott McQuillan in goal. The back 4, Stewart, the coach Ferguson himself, Gary Morrow and Georgia. In midfield, Mackey, Tilley and Pence. And up front, Christie, the newcomer, Petrovic and Scott.
You're right, 6'7", a member of Canada's Olympic team, trying to qualify for Barcelona. 21-year-old Scott McQuillan, 10 games, 18 goals against, a 1.80 goals against average, and 1 shutout. The referee is Mr. Eric Hagans. The near side linesman, Phil Searle. Tony Camacho will work the far side, and the 4th official is Jason Miller as we're underway. And the Vancouver 86ers in their traditional blue and yellow, but these are a brand new away strip for the 86ers after they traded their last away uniform in their exhibition game against Benfica. So they were left without uniforms when they played in Toronto the other night, and these just arrived from Vancouver.
And we spoke at the start of the game of the 4 players missing for Vancouver. One perhaps we didn't mention of more importance is Doug Muirhead, top goal scorer in the league. He's not playing tonight because of a groin injury. So David Norman lines up at right back, and Norm Odinga, who's been playing at right back, comes into the forward line.
Hey, let's set this up early. What's the long one? Come on, you're close.
Darren Tilley will take the throw-in for Kitchener as they quickly take it on the attack to Vancouver. Ivor Evans to midfield. There's Gary Morrow. heading into the box, and offside called on Kitchener. The head coach, the general manager, Bob Lenarduzzi.
Looking very thoughtful, but as he said at the start of the game, he's confident he's got the backup strength from the bench to fill in very well for the players who are currently in LA.
Steve Burns. Ivor Evans makes the run on the left. McKinty, Mobilio are in the middle. Mark Carpin has moved up as well, as Steve Burns will win the throw in. There's the player coach, Drew Ferguson, back for his second game after missing 5 because of a groin pull, and he'll tell you that a big reason. Here's Norman with a chance. It ricochets off a defender and goes by the near post, and it'll go as an 86er corner. There is David Norman, the 29-year-old member of Canada's 86 World Cup team in Mexico.
Good worker. He'll play anywhere for you, and look for him to move forward from that right back position many times this evening. That's just like taking candy from a baby for Scott McQuillan. 6'7". He didn't have to stretch for that corner kick.
John Stewart to midfield, looking for Howie Christie, couldn't find him. Peter Mackey. Now it's Ivor Evans. Gets all bottled up, and this is Mackey. And he's brought down, and the foul will be on Doug McKinty. The 23-year-old out of the University of Victoria. Petkovic couldn't get it across, and now Norman will bring it back for Vancouver. For Dominic Mobilio. Ferguson right there. Norman. Petkovic over to Mark Kim. Brett Pence was there. Tilley can't get away. McDonald, Norman. Very tight on that far side of the field, and you can get an idea of how dry it's been here in southern Ontario. It's very, very burned, the grass. There is the latest, the newcomer for the Kitchener Kickers, Zoran Petkovic. The 24-year-old played for Split, Croatia, and is in his 3rd game with the Kickers. Drew very high on him, Ferguson. Graham says he has a lot of pace.
Well, if he's got a lot of pace, he'll do well, but I just wonder how relaxed Petkovic is with all the trouble going on in his native land right now.
John Stewart will take the throw-in back for Ferguson. He'll go all the way across for Dominic Giorgi. Looking for Roderick Scott. McDonald there to mark him. Gregor Young. Steve Burns to midfield for Vancouver. Lays it off Mobilio. Carpin. Semi-sound. Ivor Evans. Mobilio, Carpin make a runs for the far post, and it'll bend over the end line and be keeper's ball.
Bent the wrong way. That was the trouble. Ivor Evans tried to curve it with the inside of his left foot, sliced it a little bit, and no challenge at all for Scott McQuillan as it went high over the bar.
McQuillan just rolls it out for Gary Morrow. The through ball for Tilley doesn't get there. This is Howie Christie, and then he's quickly surrounded by 86ers. Ivor Evans, McDonald. There's Petkovic applying some pressure. David Norman through the middle. And Mobilio is brought down, and the foul is on the Kickers.
I think Mobilio was challenged by Ivor Evans then. I think Evans meant for Mobilio to leave it to him, and instead they both kicked the ball at the same time and were fortunate to get a free kick for it.
Norman chipping it through for Mobilio. Pence there to mark him. Normo Dinga. Ivor Evans. Petkovic. Oh, nice move by Evans if he can get it across. Gets some help from Sound, and then coming through is Gary Morrow. Mark Carpin. Sam Sound can't get there. Pence. Oh, Dinga! Yes! Norm Odinga, and it's 1-0 Vancouver.
And there you saw a little bit of Norm Odinga's ability as a defender and a little bit of Norm Odinga's ability as an attacker. First, he wins the ball with a beautiful challenge. Firm challenge, tees it up, has a look, then drives it just outside the post, and 6'7" couldn't reach it. Good challenge to win the ball. Tees it up, has a look, 10 out of 10. That's a great goal for Norm Odinga and justifies Bobby Lenarduzzi's decision to move him from his right back spot into the forward line.
The goal by Norm Odinga comes at the 6-minute mark and is his 3rd of the season. The 28-year-old acquired in the dispersal draft of the Edmonton Brickman. Merkel will put the ball back into play. I was just going to say, though, quickly, the 86ers have flip-flopped their outside men, both midfield and forwards. Sam Sound, Ivor Evans in the midfield, and Carpin and Odinga. Odinga switching to the right when he was supposed to start on the left.
Well, Norm Odinga started his career as a 15-year-old right winger signed by the Edmonton Drillers when I was there. And he's played a lot of positions. He can play on the left wing. His strength on the left wing is cutting inside and hitting it with his right foot. I think you'll see a lot of interchanging by these Vancouver 86ers simply because about half this team right now are playing out of position to accommodate the players who are in LA.
Well, there's no doubt about that. And one of the players playing out of position is Mark Carpin, listed as a defender, but with his height, he's playing up front now, hoping to pick up some of the slack left by the absence of John Catliff.
Well, you know, I came in here signed as a defender, and to get a chance to play forward was a special opportunity for me, and I just hope I can make the most of that opportunity and gain the respect from Coach Lenarduzzi and my players around me so that, you know, when called upon, I can come in there and do a job for them.
28-year-old Mark Carpin coming off another successful indoor season in Tacoma.
And he's certainly done a job for them with 4 goals. Dominic Mobilio, of course, also with 4 goals. And Doug Muirhead not playing tonight, top goal scorer with 5.
So it may be tough for Lenarduzzi to say, sorry, you've got to go to the back 4 again.
I don't think you'll do that. I think you'll keep Mark Carpin as a spare offensive player. Sit him on the bench when Catliff gets back and bring him on if things are not going right. He did that against North York, and it paid off handsomely.
Howie Christie plays it forward for Mackey. Gregor Young is there to take it away and plays it back for Merkel. "25-year-old Gregor Young out of UBC. Across midfield has Mobilio nicely chested down. Lays it off for David Norman. Petkovic is there, and the foul will be on Norman. Tilly can't control. He'll win the throw-in, though. Quickly taken, looking for Howie Christie. Petkovic. Oh, he thought he had Brett Pence alone. For Peter Mackey, wide on the right. Roderick Scott, Howie Christie make runs, and it slipped over the sideline. Throw in for the 86ers. Odinga for Carpin. For Mobilio, Ivor Evans to run through the middle. Now Odinga makes a slanted run across the top of the box. This is Carpin. Mobilio, lovely one-touch passing by the 86ers. Ivor Evans, Mobilio's in the middle. He'll go wide to the right. Norman has moved up to the edge of the area. Giorgi there to mark him. It's a cross. Odinga was right there, but so is McQuillan.
Beautiful build-up by the Vancouver 86ers. Nice cross by David Norman. Norm Odinga gets to it, but really doesn't get enough pace on it to beat Scott McQuillan. Nice cross. Good timing by Norm Odinga, but you can see the big goalkeeper right there and handles it pretty easily.
Mobilio Lays it off. Ivor Evans. Odinga, Carpin are in the box. Mobilio has moved up as well, and it's pushed over the end line. It'll go as a corner for the 86ers, and they're starting to turn it on against the kickers and Drew Ferguson.
Great challenge by Drew Ferguson there. Very dangerous one-on-one against Ivor Evans. He loves to beat you close in, and looks very much as if they're going to give a goal kick.
It is a goal kick. It's 1-0 Vancouver. The Molson CSL match of the day on TSN is by Norm Odinga at 6 minutes. 1-0 Vancouver leading.
That goal by Norm Odinga, the 27th goal scored by the Vancouver 86ers. And it's not surprising that Dominic Mobilio hasn't got as many as last year, because they're really sharing it around this year. There's about 4 or 5 players sharing the goal-scoring load, and what an asset that is for a team.
Giorgi tries to skip it through and can't. Merkel downfield. Morrow is there. Giorgi, the rookie out of Kitchener United. And Toronto Italia had a trial with the Canadian Olympic team. Nice to see Roderick Scott back. He played with Dallas in the Major Indoor Soccer League this past winter, an All-American at Akron University. And he already has a couple of goals this year. Roderick Scott. Petkovic into the area. Pence went up, Tilly's there, and the 86ers will clear it way into touch. Sammy Sound has 1 goal this year.
And what a beauty it was, and off the far post against the Hamilton Steelers. Good little player. Struggling a little bit with an injury to his left leg, but Vancouver's so short on players. He's got it strapped up, and he'll give you 100%, Sammy will.
Yeah, he was taking physio before the game. Rob Merkel will look upfield. Mobilio, Odinga. All forward, looking for Odinga, but Gary Morrow is there. Sam Sound, Evans, Odinga, McKinty lays it wide for Norman making the run. Giorgi is there though for Kitchener. Nice ball by Giorgi. Evans and Petkovic battle. Sam Sound, McKinty plays the dummy for Norman. Mobilio, Carpin, Odinga make runs into the middle. Headed away by Gary Morrow. Odinga gets it across. Tilly looking for Peter Mackey. Oh. And Merkel calling off Steve Burns with Peter Mackey as his shadow. Gregor Young, the 25-year-old, won 3 CIAU titles with UBC. McKinty finally loses it. Sam Sound. Carpin lays it off, but Tilly was there. Now it's Petkovic. Roderick Scott makes a run through the middle. Darren Tilly, if he can get the ball across, it can't. Ivor Evans. Carpin neatly for McKinty, and he'll go back for David Norman. McKinty, Mobilio on the right wing. Morrow giving chase.
Well, we spoke about the 4 players in LA, and we spoke about Doug Muirhead being injured. Very few players left for Bobby Lenarduzzi to put into this game. Looking rather sparse, that Vancouver 86ers bench. I wouldn't be surprised, Vic, if we saw young Guido Titoto come into this game. I'm sure Bobby would like to give him some playing time. If Vancouver can get another goal, we might see the youngster come in up front.
Vancouver only travel with 14 players, and you're right, the injury depletes an already short lineup. Steve Burns looks wide right for Norman. Just keeps it in play. Mobilio Odinga make runs up front. This is Mobilio. Morrow is there, and it'll go into touch. A reminder to stay with us right after the game for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Visa Kitchener. Looking for Sam Sound. Carpin is there, so is Ferguson, and out comes McQuillan. But I tell you what, Mark Carpin is very dangerous up front. I like him up there.
He's got some nice touches for a big man who's more accustomed to playing at the back. He lays off these first-time balls beautifully, and he certainly knows where the goal is. 4 goals already, the same as Dominic Mobilio. He's certainly paid his way for this Vancouver 86ers, wherever he plays.
Petkovic makes the run across the midfield. John Stewart, Tilly, Pence make runs. The ball through for Pence. It didn't get there. I wonder if his indoor experience adds to his touch up front.
Oh, it has to. Indoor is to play to feet and first-time layoff and shield, and yes, definitely, no doubt about it. And it looks as if the Kitchener Kickers are going to make a substitute halfway through this first half.
The 24-year-old Mario Haliper, a rookie out of Kitchener United, out of Laurier University, was an OUAA All-Star in 1989, will replace Howie Christie in the front three. Mario Haliper. Ferguson for the far post, looking for somebody to nod it back. Darren Tilley into the area, now looking for Scott, but it just didn't bend for him. There's Gary Morrow, acquired from the Hamilton Steelers in the deal for Trevor McCallum. Wasn't getting much action in Hamilton, but now he's starting in the back 4 for Ferguson.
And it's Morrow who made a great challenge there. Looked very much as if he was held by Steve McDonald, but they have a little battle. Steve McDonald, Gary Morrow, Gregor Young, 3 big men fighting for the ball, and the referee decided to let them go at it. No whistle, and no result for Kitchener from the free kick.
David Norman will play it back for Merkel. Too far for Ivor Evans. John Stewart will let it go into touch. Kickers throw in.
Well, we're not sure if Howie Christie was injured or not, but I must admit I hadn't seen him touch the ball, so maybe Drew Ferguson decided it would be better to bring Mario Haliper in.
Petkovic makes the nice run. Petkovic left foot. Oh my, he made the nice inside move. Caught both Norman and McDonald, and just with the left foot, couldn't find the far post.
And the first real glimpse we get from the Croatian Petkovic does the difficult thing to beat the 2 centre-backs, and then when it comes to the easy one to get it on target, slices it well wide. Obviously trying to bust the net with it, but nevertheless showed great skills on the ball as he turned David Norman and Steve McDonald inside out.
Petkovic again, quickly surrounded. Doug McKinty will get the yellow card from Mr. Eric Higgins for that foul on Zoran Petkovic. And the Kickers trainer, Fred Corradini, is out to have a look at that right leg of Petkovic.
Well, there's no doubt about the fact that Doug McKinney came in late, just had a little hack at Petkovic. Referee Eric Higgins right on the spot. Had no question in his mind that he was going to book Doug McKinney. Doug McKinney, of course, more familiar in the left back position than the midfield position. And one thing Drew Ferguson doesn't want to lose is Petkovic.
It remains 1-0 Vancouver. The Molson CSL Match of the Day on TSN. Vic Rauter along with Graham Leggett. Norm Odinga's goal at 6 minutes, the lone goal of this half so far, and we have under 20 minutes now to play. Gregor Young heads it out of the area. Dominic Mobilio. Oh, Ivor Evans wide open on this right wing. Odinga's on the left. Mobilio runs through the middle, and the ball was late. Steve Burns to the right wing. Georgie is there for the kickers, and he'll play it back for McQuillan. Drew Ferguson. Petkovic. Looking for Roderick Scott to find the seam, but Gregor Young was with him all the way.
Interesting to see that Soren Petkovic has dropped back more into midfield. As I've said so many times before, a striker, when he's having a rough time, goes back into midfield, gets a little bit more room, but he may be more effective back in midfield. He obviously knows the game. He's got a beautiful left foot, and that through ball was just inches away from being perfect.
Darren Tilley for McQuillan to the left side for Dominic Georgie. Looking for Petkovic. Oh, no problem there, exactly. As McDonald went up and over the shorter Petkovic. Ivor Evans lays it off. Sam Sound. Carpet is in the middle. Mobilio top of the box. Odinga looking for Mobilio. John Stewart was there. Sam Sound. Odinga comes back for Norman. Odinga. Ivor Evans now joins the other two in the box, and it'll go off the kicker player and in for a corner. This is the way they match up last year, dominated by 86ers, 4-0 and 5-0, and this year 4-1 and 3-1. So the kickers are in tough against this Vancouver side, and to be fair, almost every team in the league is. Oh, here's a chance now. Roderick Scott. He's got Peter Mackey, lays it off. Tilley. Oh, the offside flag. Near sidelines, Mr. Phil Searle putting it up.
Flag went up right away, and Roddy Scott just held onto this ball a little too long. Well, there's the extra pace. He should have pushed it through earlier. From that angle, he doesn't look offside. From the linesman's angle, he definitely was. We've heard so many times that soccer's a game of inches. It certainly is a game of angles. And when you're watching it on TV, sometimes you get the wrong angle, you get the wrong impression of what really took place. Oh, great challenge.
Gregor Young wins it over Roderick Scott for Vancouver. Sam Sound. Ivor Evans. Odinga. Carpet. Mobilio all make runs for the top of the box. And off of Ferguson, it'll be a Vancouver corner. 21 international caps playing for Canada. Drew Ferguson in his 5th year in the Canadian Soccer League. Loves the game. Pure and simple. How do you describe Drew Ferguson? He loves the game. Odinga. And Morrow heads it away, and it'll be another corner for Vancouver.
Loves the game, but he's got a sign on the front of his shirt saying, "I'd rather be golfing."
It's true. He is an avid golfer. You can see McQuillan directing some traffic. Mobilio is the top of the penalty area. Carpin right next to McQuillan for Vancouver, and the corner is wasted as Tilley finally clears it to midfield. David Norman. Can't get it by Roderick Scott.
No chance. No chance.
He took it wide and then lost his pace, Roderick Scott, as David Norman did well to get between him and the goal.
Did well, but he made the mistake of trying to play the difficult ball diagonally across to the left wing instead of just pushing the easy ball to the right wing.
Norm Odinga makes the run through the middle. Oh, nice dummy. Here's McKinty trying to chip it over McQuillan, as Carpin let it go through his legs to McKinty. A very neat little play.
Tough to make your mind up, Doug, isn't it? When you're going to chip the ball and all of a sudden you look up and see a 6'7" goalkeeper. You think, there's no way I can chip him. Then you change your mind and try to drive it through him. Then you do nothing. Nevertheless, a good run. Beautiful ball. Doug McKinty makes a good run. Has a look at Scott McQuillan coming out saying, maybe I'll chip it. Then he thinks, no way I can get it over that big guy. He certainly give it enough air, but if you get it over Scott McQuillan, you're going to go over the crossbar too.
Norm Odinga on the right wing, pushed into touch by Gary Morrow. Throw in for the 86ers. Norman. 12.5 minutes to play. Oh.
Hit it.
Mobilio couldn't turn on it. Steve Burns, Ivor Evans. Mobilio will hit it.
Beautiful. Beautiful shot, and once again Scott McQuillan right in the perfect spot to make it look rather easy. But Vancouver not looking like a side who are coming off a 3-0 defeat. They're playing with so much confidence. First time touches, they all want the ball. I think they're all trying to show the boss, Bobby Lenarduzzi, that the game against Toronto was a one-time affair and it won't happen again.
Oh, Gregor Young does a nice job to get that ball over the sideline and just give away the throw-in.
And one would think that the Kitchener kickers would have the advantage on this long throw-in. Have a look at this. Does well to save the corner kick. However, with the long throw-in of Darren Tilley, it's very much like a corner kick.
Darren Tilley, the 24-year-old from Bristol, England, will take the throw-in. Roderick Scott, Tilley. Now he goes for the far post, getting up. Oh, it looked like Brett Pence would get there, but McDonald did first. Plays it right back now for Tilley. Scott heads for the top of the goal.
No way. No, it is.
And there was McKinty taking no chances to head it over the end line for a Kitchener corner.
Good ball by Darren Tilley to knock that ball high into the 6-yard line, because Rob Merkel isn't the tallest goalkeeper in the league by any means, and with Brett Pence up there, good play.
Petkovic will take the corner, looking for Morrow, headed away McDonald. Oh, couldn't get it through. Mackey had it teed up, but then it closed on him.
Closed on him very quickly because there's 10 blue shirts in the box. Now there's 9. Only little Ivor Evans is about 6 yards outside the box.
Still there, Tilley. Somebody in all those players must have backed into somebody else.
I'm not sure if it was handball or backing in or dangerous play with foot up, but whatever it is, it's a let-off for the 86ers, who withstood that little bit of pressure and still lead 1-0.
David Norman upfield. Morrow heads it into touch. 86ers throw-in. Odinga. Mobilio. Gives it away. Pence for Mackey. Now they come wide left for Stewart. Sam Sound gets it all caught up. Still gets it to Ivor Evans. And then John Stewart is there. Ferguson to midfield, looking for Roderick Scott. Peter Mackey. Georgi on the left wing. Petkovic is up front. Pence will run to join him. Tilley is there as well. They'll go back for Gary Morrow at midfield. Mobilio hustles over to challenge. Pence, Roderick Scott, John Stewart. Mackey is in the area. It's the cross in front, but Merkel is there with Petkovic and Pence challenging for Kitchener.
John Stewart tried to bend that cross, but hit it cleanly, and it went straight to Rob Merkel. Wanted to put a little curve in it away from the keeper to give his forwards a chance to get to it first. There's a little ball boy throwing in the ball to David Norman. The ball boys in the purple shirts are from the Kitchener Marvels, one of Kitchener minor soccer's under 10 teams.
Pence lays it back for Ferguson. 8 minutes to play in this first half. 1-0 Vancouver. Long ball for Roderick Scott. And Scott getting turned around and fouling Gregor Young.
Ruddy saying, I was a little off balance, Eric. Really didn't mean to give him a little nudge from behind. Nevertheless, Eric Higgins blew the free kick right away. Clumsy challenge.
Odinga moves up just to let Scott McQuillan know that there's another team on the pitch. McQuillan to midfield. McDonald wins it in the air. Ferguson. Morrow will go up. Ivor Evans. Lovely ball. Mobilio throws it through for Ivor Evans a little too far as Carpin got a little crossed up and where the ball might go. Ferguson for Roderick Scott. Gregor Young was there. Throw in now. The foul is on Gregor Young. Ferguson takes it quickly, and really too quickly, as he was trying to spot Pence on the far side. Mr. Eric Higgins has pulled out the yellow card once on Doug McKinty. Morrow. Boy, he's good in the air at the back, isn't he, Morrow? Seems to win everything. McDonald. Tilley for Kitchener. Pence can't control. Roderick Scott now through midfield. And now Mr. Higgins telling both Roderick Scott and Doug McKinty to keep the spikes on the turf, getting them up a little bit maybe.
And I think Vancouver wanted the advantage rule there. Well, it's a late challenge by Roderick Scott. Comes in. I think the one intent on his mind was to wrap Doug McKinty pretty firmly. No intention to winning the ball. The ball had already gone, but he'd taken some stick, he said, from Gregor Young, so he decided to hand out some.
Tilley upfield. Now it's Carpin. Lays it off. Odinga. Mobilio. Carpin. McKinty. Burns. They're all in the area. Can they get it across? Sam Sound, but they couldn't. It looked like an 86ers convention in front of McQuillan, but they couldn't get the ball there. Ivor Evans at midfield. Burns. McKinty. Burns. Ivor Evans is on the left. They'll go deep for Carpin. Mobilio. Odinga make runs far post. Georgi. Odinga. David Norman. Burns. Carpin. Gets it across this time, and there's McQuillan.
Well, there's no challenge at all from the 86ers when Scott McQuillan goes up for the ball, because they can't even get halfway up for the ball. But you look at the strength of Vancouver 86ers. you only have to look at Steve Burns, the young left back. Plays very, very infrequently, but comes in tonight, and I tell you, he looks like a regular. He's so confident, so mature, loves to want the ball, loves to come forward, he's not afraid to put work on the ball, and he's really a bench player.
Roderick Scott, deep in the left wing. McKinty there to mark him and reaches out and grabs him. The 22-year-old Steve Burns out of UBC. Last couple of years played with the Winnipeg Fury. Petrovsky gets it through.
Hit it.
Now it's Ferguson. Like a bad wedge.
Excuse me, Drew, but not one of your best. Sliced it badly.
CSL match of the day on lead. 1-0 over Kitchener in the final few moments of this first half of play. It's been an interesting half because both sides have had their run of the ball. It's gone back and forth. It hasn't been totally dominated by Vancouver.
Well, I don't think that the Kickers are overawed by Vancouver, because the last time they played here it was 1-1 with about 6 minutes to go. Then Vancouver got a disputed penalty kick. Then they scored 2 more. 4-1 the final. Looks like a one-sided game, but the Kickers were very confident that they could have won it. So, you know, they're still in, 1-0 down. They've not really tested Merkel. But then again, they've not really given up too many chances at the other end.
And the one chance they may have given up by opening up a little bit at the back was taken well by Odinga. The through ball for Ivor Evans. He turned and he saw Gary Morrow. And Gary Morrow just left 2 86ers on the turf, and Ivor Evans is still down. Tilly at midfield. Ivor Evans getting it through. And now the referee's whistle.
Referee blows his whistle, and theoretically Ivor Evans was offside when that ball was played through, but obviously was not interfering with play, so referee Eric Higgins let it go. Have a look at this. Gary Morrow's one thought is to get the ball. He goes right through Ivor Evans, who's taken his eye off the ball, and Ivor Evans gets a pretty hard rap. But full marks to Gary Morrow. Did not take his eye off the ball. Very clever Ivor Evans at dummying like that and faking. Gary Morrow, a seasoned pro, hammered him pretty good.
Well, it's interesting because Evans really doesn't know that Morrow's coming.
No, he doesn't, because he's taken his eye off the ball. He's trying to dummy it. Morrow's eyes on the ball. He kicks for the ball. The fact that Evans stuck his leg in there is really no reflection on Gary Morrow. What an addition to this Kitchener Kickers to be able to get Gary Morrow from Hamilton Steelers. I think Drew Ferguson must be guilty of stealing. What a great acquisition. Gary Morrow, I think, has given the Steelers just tremendous service, and he must be delighted to get off the bench and play again.
Well, it was a kind of trade that worked out for both players. Gary Morrow was on the bench in Hamilton after starting the previous 4 years and being a mainstay of the back four. Trevor McCallum, who was with Kitchener, couldn't come to a contract agreement, so they made the swap, and now everybody, supposedly teams and players, are happy.
I'm sure they are. Trevor McCallum and Gary Morrow are 2 very good players. I must say that the first year and the second year, the combination of John DiPasquale and Gary Morrow as the centre backs for Hamilton was pretty intimidating.
Peter Mackey, Stewart, the final moments of this first half, and I would think there'd be injury time added on by Mr. Eric Higgins. Through for Mobilio. Ivor Evans looking fit again. Carpin, Evans, little give and go, doesn't. Sam Sound hits it just enough to get it to Odinga. Norman, cross for the far post, Odinga, and then up and over the bar, and it looked like it may have been John Stewart who got the foot in to push it over.
It's amazing how many times if you just put a foot in, you can put the other player off. Norma Dinga looks certain to head this ball in. Stewart makes the token challenge, really. No chance of getting the ball. Norma Dinga takes his eye off the ball, and the ball goes way over the bar. Mind you, Vic, I must say, if you were getting ready to head the ball and you saw 6 studs coming,
right.
You'd take your eye off it too.
Yeah, well.
Easy for us to sit up here and say you should have kept your eye on the ball, Norm, but it's tough to do when you see these 6 studs coming at you.
That's what made the goal by Jamie Lowry the other night for Canada against Mexico more impressive. He saw the studs coming and he kept his head in there.
I tell you what, Jamie Lowry would have stuck his head in there if every player in that Mexican team had put the studs up. He's that kind of player. I think he's the only player on that Canadian side who would have scored that goal.
David Norman. And back. Little dummy played by Odinga. And there's the whistle from Mr. Eric Higgins, who added on about 2 minutes of injury time. Drew Ferguson and his team head to the locker room, trailing 1-0 to Bob Lenarduzzi.
And it was the Vancouver 86ers who struck first. 6 minutes gone, Mark Carpin gets possession and pushes it square. Norma Dinga wins a 50-50 ball with a strong challenge, tees it up, picks his spot just inside the far post. What a great goal by Norma Dinga. From another angle, we can see the right winger get control, and boy, you can't hit them much better than this. What a great goal by Norma Dinga, Vic.
It really was. It was well taken, and a game, though, that really has had and gone back and forth a little bit, because after that 6-minute goal, you thought, oh my goodness, here we go. It's just going to be a flood for Vancouver.
Yes, you did think it was going to be a flood for Vancouver because they were pushing it around so confidently. However, had this been a boxing match and we were midway through the bout, I think the scores would be even.
And it is just 1-0 for Vancouver. They've won all 4 previous games with Kitchener. Halftime here at Centennial Stadium, the CSL Match of the Day on TSN. When we come back, yeah, a lot of people have second jobs, especially in the Canadian soccer. In your lives probably have had to hold down a second job to make ends meet. Well, if you're a professional player in the Canadian Soccer League, that almost goes without question.
I tell you what, if I'd known that Nick Albanis sold underwear, I would have been ribbing him for years. But Nick Albanis is a great player, and it just shows that these kids are very intelligent. They have to have a second job, and hopefully the time will come in Canada when the CSL players will be full-time pros.
Hey, listen, it wasn't too long ago that this was the way it was in the Canadian Football League. You worked during the day and you practiced and played on the weekends. Some of the other jobs that some of the players that we're watching tonight, well, Paul Dolan is a broadcaster for CKNW and a cable station in Vancouver. Steve McDonald is in marketing and sales with Umbro. Sammy Sound is a postal worker in Vancouver. As for the Kitchener Kickers, Gary Morrow is an interior decorator. Peter Gilfillan, who's with the national team right now, is a teacher, and Peter Mackey works with adolescents. So, yeah, you're right. You have to pay the bills, and CSL isn't going to do it for you on its own.
No, they're not, and that's terrific. Peter Mackey, that's a superb job, and he's a good little player, too.
A week from today, we will be in... Well, next week, let's say, whenever you're watching this, we will be in Hamilton to see the Toronto Blizzard against the Hamilton Steelers Wednesday, July the 10th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. However, the Blizzard will be missing one of their keys, maybe the best player in the league right now, in Paul Pescasolido.
Well, unfortunately, in the last game, Paul Pescasolido got a rough tackle and went down. He's got severely torn ligaments in the ankle, and who knows when he'll be back. They say 6 weeks, but I don't know.
You know, there's some suggestion that it would have been better had he broken it, not just torn the ligaments.
Oh, I agree. I had my leg broken 3 times, and I had torn ligaments once. And I'd rather have the 3 leg breaks than the torn ligaments. Believe me, folks. Young Paul Pescasolido, I'm so disappointed to see this because he is by far the most promising youngster in the Canadian Soccer League. But, Paul, you hang in there, son. You'll be back. It's amazing how, when you're your age, how things heal quickly.
Be sure to join us on Wednesday, July the 10th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be in Hamilton to see the whistle from the referee, Mr. Eric Higgins. And our second half of play is underway. Vancouver leading Kitchener 1-0. Oh, quickly, Petrovic. And this time, just over the bar. Nothing wild about that shot.
Well, his first effort was about 2 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for this one. Controls it. It's bouncing nicely. He decides to hit it on the half volley, and it just rises all the way over Rob Merkel's crossbar. Good hit. Unfortunately, he was falling back as he hit it, could not get his body over the ball. As a result, the ball went high, but already Zoran Petkovic has shown great potential.
Rob Merkel into a breeze now here at Centennial Stadium. Pence can't win it. Mobilio does. For Burns, Ivor Evans hustles over. For Mobilio. Ferguson there to mark him, and he pushes it into touch. Mobilio, this is Carpet. Oh, there was Morrow again. David Norman. Slides by Mobilio. Dominic Giorgi. Norman intercepts the pass for Petkovic. David Norman, the 29-year-old, saw some time with Vancouver, the Whitecaps in the North American Soccer League, as Petkovic is down again. He was down earlier. And the referee, Mr. Higgins, just over to see if indeed he is injured. What's happened here? Oh, it's on David Norman. Oh. Norman looked like he went right through him and took that right leg, and that was the same leg that he had injured earlier in the first half.
Well, Doug McKenty got booked for tackling Petkovic in the first half. David Norman showing the Croatian striker that life can be pretty tough in the Canadian Soccer League. But it looks very much as if he's holding his knee, his right knee. That's the area he was favoring when he went down after Doug McKenty's tackle. And I'm sure that Drew Ferguson will be hoping that his striker, well, when they do that, it looks like cramp.
Graham, we will have the third and final game for Canada at the CONCACAF Gold Cup on Wednesday, July the 3rd at 11:30 p.m. as they play Jamaica. Both teams losing their first two games to Honduras and Mexico. So Wednesday, July 3rd, 11:30 p.m. from Los Angeles, Canada's final game at this year's CONCACAF Gold Cup. As Odinga plays it through, and no problem for McQuillan.
Should be an interesting game, Canada against Jamaica. Unfortunately, the loser will finish up in the cellar of Group A in that CONCACAF Gold Cup. And if Canada finishes up there, then I think that they have to take a firm look at the whole national program.
Petkovic couldn't slide through. Sam Sound lays it square. Forward for Odinga, and it'll run too far and be a throw in for Kitchener. Won't be too long till qualifying begins for the World Cup, as Roderick Scott can't get around Gregor Young. They'll make the decision and announce the sites, of course, this December in New York City.
Should be very interesting where they're going to play in the United States. Of course, our interest between now and then is if our young Canadian team qualifies for the Olympic Games, and we certainly have a very promising under-23 squad.
Zoran Petkovic will take this corner. Oh, and he just squibbed it. We've played 5 minutes of this second half. 1-0 Vancouver. Merkel to Norman and back. to midfield, past Odinga. Volleyed right back by Morrow. Tilly, and too far. It's tough to build any kind of attack when you're just volleying it back and forth. Odinga on the left wing. Mobilio makes the run through the middle, but John Stewart was there to head it away. McKinty for David Norman. Cut to the far post. McQuillan, as Odinga gave it a leaping challenge for Vancouver. Roderick Scott for Tilly. Georgie down the left wing looking for Halloper. He gets there. Mobilio, Sam Sound for Carpin. Bobby Lenarduzzi on the bench. Mark Carpin getting the start up front for Vancouver in place of John Catliff, who's with the Canadian team in Los Angeles. And Drew Ferguson, his side trailing 1-0. Petkovic thinking that he may have deserved a call there, but he actually kicked it into touch, gave it away to Vancouver. Steve McDonald. Steve Burns. Ivor Evans at midfield for Vancouver. Carpin has Mobilio. Odinga makes a run for the 6-yard box, kicked away by Stewart. Morrow's there, McKinty, and it's 2-0 Vancouver.
And the one thing Drew Ferguson was afraid of was that this team would be guilty of ball watching. They were there as Doug McKinty rolls in the loose ball. Watch the ball finish up in the back of the net as Doug McKinty, normally a fullback, shows great opportunism. Defense here, guilty of ball watching. The ball comes back off Ivor Evans. McKinty gets to it first before Scott McQuillan, and it's 2-0 for Vancouver.
Doug McKinty's first goal of the season comes at 52 minutes. 2-0 Vancouver.
And I must admit that when that ball was played through to Dominic Mobilio, I felt that he may well have been offside. Perhaps the kicker's defenders hesitated for a minute thinking he was offside, but of course you can't do that. You have to play for the whistle, and they certainly didn't.
Ferguson looking for Pence. Georgie. Sam Sound is there. Now Ferguson tries to get a foot in and can't. Pence for Peter Mackey. Sam Sound, nice little work. Will go wide left for Ivor Evans. Odinga. Mobilio make runs. Little give and go. Mobilio, Ivor Evans, Carpin trying to stay onside, top of the box, but they couldn't get through Peter Mackey. Now it's a long ball down the left wing for Roderick Scott. He needs some help. Pence has moved up. Petkovic. Scott will try to get it across. Oh, what a nice play by Doug McKinty to get back, and I think the crowd may be looking for some kind of handball, but it wasn't awarded by the referee.
I think it was more of a face ball than a handball. Doug McKinty slow to get up as he took that ball plumb on the nose.
Nothing in the rules says you can't eat it.
It is good play by Roderick Scott. Tries to cut it back now. Watch McKinty come in. Oh, right in the face. That hurts.
McQuillan looking for Petkovic. but no problem for McDonald. And it really seems the best success that Kitchener has had is not on the long balls to their forwards. It's when they've tried to make some runs, find some open space. Scott. Mackey makes a run. This is Tilley. Pence is in the middle. Tilley with Burns marking him. Goes for the near post and no problem for Rob Merkel. One of their best crowds of the season for the Kitchener Kickers to see the league leading and three-time CSL champion Vancouver 86ers.
And tucked into that crowd was Dominic Cardeo, the very, very sociable mayor of Kitchener. Came up to say hi to Vic and I at the beginning of halftime. Wearing the yellow shirt. Good crowd here this evening, Vic.
Ivor Evans. Tilley, step for step. Sam Sound, that left thigh heavily bandaged. Mobilio lays it back. Burns will cut it for the far post. Here comes Norman from his right fullback spot. Cross the top of the box and cleared away. Petkovic now one-on-one. Lays it through for Scott. Tilley makes the run. Here's Petkovic on the left wing. Tilley trying to catch up, and then Petkovic couldn't get it around McDonald. Halliper put it through for Petkovic, but Norman brought him down, and then Petkovic has a long look at David Norman. Mobilio, Drew Ferguson giving a little kick to Odinga, and the yellow card comes out of the pocket of Mr. Higgins for Drew Ferguson. So it'll be a free kick just outside the box.
Well, this is what's called a professional foul. That Drew felt he'd pushed the ball away, but he was going to make sure he brought the ball carrier down without playing the ball.
Odinga. As they pushed it square for Norm Odinga, and then he just mishit it. Steve Burns, Ivor Evans, Sam Sound, Ivor Evans, and Ferguson was there, and Ivor Evans went up and over. Darren Tilley down the left wing for Kitchener. Ferguson, Halliper at midfield for Kitchener, trailing 2-0. And offside as Roderick Scott got caught on the trap. Bobby Lenarduzzi, Jock McDonald, the 86ers equipment manager alongside, will head to Winnipeg for a game Thursday night against the Fury. Still looking for their first win of the season. Odinga across the top, lays it off for Ivor Evans. Carpin has moved up. So is McKinty. Mobilio is wide on the right. Steve Burns, little give and go. Ivor Evans. John Stewart is there, and it will be Vancouver ball. Steve Burns with a throw in, looking for Gregor Young, who got ahead to it, and there's McQuillan. Once again, the long ball for Petkovic doesn't even come close as Norman read it well. Sam Sound lays it square to the left for Ivor Evans. Odinga, Carpin are all up. This is Steve Burns, one time, and over the par. It's 2-0, Vancouver, leading Kitchener. The Molson CSL Match of the Day on David Norman. Petkovic. And pushed into touch by Steve McDonald. It'll be a throw-in for Kitchener. Tilley. in his 5th season, Steve McDonald. Pence goes up, and no problem for Rob Merkel.
You'd think really that Brett Pence and Darren Tilley would give Rob Merkel more problems in the box. After all, Darren Tilley is 6'3" and Brett Pence is 6'2". Yet they've barely been a factor on these high balls.
Odinga down this right side. Sam Sound. Mark Carpin calling for it to the far post. Odinga one-on-one with Morrow, and Morrow gets the foot in there. And it'll go as a corner for Vancouver.
Get it, Dave. Get it, Dave. Whip it in.
They'll play it short for Norman. Norman plays it across, but now it's Odinga. Sammy Sound.
Sammy had it. Oh, his eyes lit up when he saw the ball break to him. It was sitting so nicely. The kind you dream about, where the defender misheads it and comes straight to you. You knock it into the back of the net. You dream about it all night. Unfortunately, it didn't have a happy ending, and Sammy hit it way over the bar. Good header in by Norm Odinga. Bad clearance, straight to Sammy Sound. He thinks it's going to rocket right into the top corner, way over the bar, and he knows he made a boo-boo. Trying to make an excuse, but you can't do it, can you, Sam? You know you mishit it.
McQuillan rockets it downfield looking for Pence, but again, it just over all the Vancouver forwards and just headed again out of play. Ferguson. Roderick Scott will try it one time, and he just booms it off of Darren Tilley.
And Darren Tilley is not going to thank him for that. It's like a defenseman hitting a slap shot, and the point man gets it right in the chest. Although Tilley didn't get it in the chest, did he?
Sam Sound to midfield for Norm Odinga. The Fiji Flash, Ivor Evans with Carpin. Odinga running for the top of the box. Odinga can't get it through. As Drew Ferguson read it well, and it'll be a corner for Vancouver.
3-4 times Gary Morrow's been one-on-one with Norm Odinga and managed to get his foot in just enough to deflect it for a corner kick.
Odinga to the top of the box. And headed over the end line by Gregor Young, who had moved up from his center back spot. He casts a big shadow, Scott McQuillan, at 6'7".
He certainly does. Casts a big shadow over the little ball boys who are about 2'6" behind his goal. In the first half, in the red shirts, the ball boys were from the Kitchener Spiders. The second half in the purple shirts, they're from the Kitchener Marvels. Under 10 House League team here in Kitchener. Standing around the pitch, just dying for the ball to come to them so they can get a touch of it.
Drew Ferguson is over this free kick.
Hit it, Drew. Go on, hit it. Aim for the near post and slice it. It'll go right in at the far post.
The four-man wall set up by Vancouver. Ferguson will try it. Oh, my! Drew Ferguson.
There you are, Drew. Aim for the near post, sliced it right into the far post. 10 out of 10. We spoke before the game. I said, if you get a free kick, knock one in for me. You can't hit them any better than that. Unbelievable. Sliced it, aimed for the near post, sliced it into the far post, just like his golf tee shots. Have a look at this. Do you think Merkel's got any chance? None whatsoever. One for Powell River, BC. There, Drew. He said, if I score a goal, say it's for Powell River, BC.
And it is a beauty. Drew Ferguson, his first goal of the season at the 67th minute. And it's 2-1.
6-yard box. 6-yard
assistant coach Barry McLean on the bench.
You'd think they'd just given up a goal.
Headed away by Georgie. Oh boy, this may have just awakened the 86ers because they have quickly brought it back the other way. McKinty thought he had it teed up, but it ricocheted off a kicker player and over the end line. It'll be a corner for Vancouver. Normo Dinga, Petkovic to Mark Kim, and then Ferguson won the ball in the air over Mark Carpin, and it'll be another corner kick for the 86ers. '28-year-old Normo Dinga. For the far post, McDonald follows him across, and the push by McDonald on Brent Pence. And here come the Kitchener kickers. Halliper to the right wing for Petkovic. For Roderick Scott, but over his head, and now McKinty will calmly play it back for Rob Berkeley.
And one has to wonder if the road trip that the Vancouver 86ers have experienced in the last 6-7 days will take its toll in this second half. They were playing very confidently, cruising along 2-0. That Drew Ferguson goal has given new life to Kitchener. Uh-oh, look out. Ooh.
Oh, Merkel as Gregor Young.
Well, the idea wasn't too bad, Gregor Young, but he just didn't get enough weight on it to get it back to Merkel in time. And ooh, that was very close as big Darren Tilley got one of his long legs out there to try and toe poke it past the goalkeeper.
Ferguson does well to push it for Peter Mackey wide on the right. Scott, Petkovic, Tilley make runs up front. Halliper is wide on the left.
Free kick. Free kick given on Darren Tilley. Little obstruction there to prevent him getting to the ball. Now will Drew Ferguson do 2 out of 2? This is a little more difficult because if he aims for the far post and slices it, he'll hit it into the... Because he always slices these dead balls. Always slices them, just like his tee shots.
Well, he scored one. Petkovic is there as well. Petkovic right off the wall. Oh, John Stewart.
I think Drew is thinking that he should have hit it instead of Soren Petkovic.
This week in the CSL, on Wednesday, oh, this is always good, the Crosstown Derby. The Blizzard will be in North York to play the Rockets. Nova Scotia, they've lost 2 in a row. They're in Montreal to play the Supra. And on Thursday, Vancouver will be in Winnipeg.
And it's back home to Swan Guard Stadium for the league leaders. And boy, will they ever be glad to get back home. Been a tough start to the season.
Pence, square for Dominic Giorgi. Oh, he had the right idea, but David Norman got that left foot up. The through ball. In play, Ivor Evans. Odinga, Mobilio, and it's over his head and cleared away by John Stewart. Peter Mackey, Roderick Scott, Petkovic, offside.
Unlucky because they got the break, but there you see the linesman, Tony Camacho, pulling up Soren Petkovic for just moving a little too early. Bit of a let-off there for the Vancouver 86ers.
Boy, is it opened up. Dominic Mobilio, Steve Burns, ahead for Odinga, and Morrow will push it back. Now they come wide to the left. Dominic Giorgi. Halloper is on his left. He tries to go through the middle for Petkovic. McKinty was there. Odinga. Far post. McQuillan punches it away. Carpin is there. Flips it back. Here's McKinty, and it rattles off a kicker defender. Petkovic near sideline. Oh, he did well to get around McKinty, and then Sam Sound backing him up pushes it into touch. Yeah, it's a tough start for these 86ers. 9 of their first 13 are on the road, then 8 straight at home. All the more remarkable is that they are in first place.
Yes, indeed, and they've scored 26 goals, 14 against.
Sam Sound clears it. Giorgi looking for Peter Mackey. This time it is in play. Peter Mackey. Tilley is in the area. Here comes Pence, and finally Gregor Young will clear it. Still in play, right wing for Tilley.
Once again, a little bit of obstruction.
Ivor Evans. And it may have been Steve Burns as well, giving a little shoulder to Darren Tilley.
Well, this is an indirect free kick. It's obstruction. Although I don't think there was any chance of him trying to score from there. He's obviously going to aim for the big men, Tilley and Pence.
It's still in play now, headed away finally by Gregor Young. Still in play. It hit the post. Here's Halloper pushing it across the top of the box. Nobody there. By Petkovic. Now it's Norm Odinga. Petkovic back to mark him. Giorgi is there as well, and it'll go into touch. Sam Sound will leave it for Odinga. And you know, on that last run, Odinga was all by himself. It was as if the pace had gotten to Vancouver a little bit.
Well, he was all by himself simply because Vancouver had been under tremendous pressure. All the blue shirts were back, but Norm Odinga did very well to hold the ball and wait for support. Saw that it wasn't coming, settled for the throwing.
Steve Burns will play it back for Merkel.
This last 15 minutes, very important for the 86ers. They're obviously going to feel a little tired. This is when you have to dig down just a little bit, make sure you get back goal side. And no standing around.
Broderick Scott at midfield, Ivor Evans right there to meet him, and now it's Mobilio. Broderick Scott, the challenge. Ferguson, hands and knees, doing everything he can, and then finally blown down. David Norman, Mobilio. Odinga, Carpin, top of the box. This is David Norman. Chips it far post. This is Steve Burns. Ivor Evans, can he get through? No. Burns goes wide. Carpin chips it through. There's McQuillan. Now quickly forward. This is Darren Tilley. The Bristol, England native with Petkovic through the middle. Off the referee, Mr. Higgins, and here come the 86ers.
Well, you can't say that Eric Higgins is not keeping up with the play. Right on the ball for the whole game.
David Norman is the injured 86er as trainer Catherine Jarvis is out to have a look at his right ankle.
Watch this tackle. David Norman on the ball. Tilly comes in from behind. Ooh, take that, David. No wonder his ankle's a little sore. 5'8" David Norman against 6'3" Darren Tilley. No contest. And number 20, Guido Titoto, comes on for Mark Carpin. Good move by Bobby Lenarduzzi. Mark Carpin's done very well up front. Guido Titoto, an out-and-out striker, getting some playing time.
Odinga. Oh, tried to give Titoto his first touch and couldn't. This is Mobilio. Oh! Dominic Mobilio. And just like that, maybe guilty again of watching the ball, and they forgot to watch Dominic Mobilio.
Well, maybe they should watch his left foot, because you cannot give Dominic Mobilio a free shot with that left foot. It is dynamite. Watch this, the ball's laid beautifully through. He just strokes it inside the far post. That left-footed Dominic Mobilio is like a violin bow. He strokes it beautifully, and what a tune it plays. 3-1, and that goal by Mobilio seems to end the threat from the Kitchener kickers. What a good move to bring on young Guido Titoto. Got a nice little touch on that goal. Didn't put through the final ball, but laid one off.
Dominic Mobilio with his 5th goal of the year at 78 minutes, and it is 3-1 Vancouver.
And that 5th goal by Dominic Mobilio means he joins Grant Needham, Mark Grabowski, and Doug Muirhead as the leading goal scorers in the CSL. Of course, that could all change tomorrow when 2 of the leaders play.
Georgie. And now Ferguson will play it back for McQuillan. Mobilio to the left wing for Steve Burns. Back through the middle, looking for Ivor Evans. Roderick Scott. Tilley. Ferguson. McQuillan downfield and too far for Brent Pence. And it really does take the steam out of Kitchener right now after they looked threatening. That quick goal that seemed to come out of nowhere has taken the life out of the Kitchener. Ivor Evans, oh, he did well to get around and play it in front. There was Gary Morrow, though, with Mobilio right there to clear the way.
Gary Morrow's made some great saving tackles this evening. Been at full stretch at times to do it, but have a look at this. Evans cuts it back across. Mobilio's just going to stroke it in, and in comes Gary Morrow to take it right off the Vancouver 86er striker's foot.
Plays it back, Sam Sound. Oh, it just skipped by him. McKinty and Titoto get caught up. McDonald, Steve Burns, Odinga. Gregor Young. Burns. The edge of the area for Guido Titoto. Titoto for the far post. Gary Morrow with Sam Sound there clears it away. And now Kitchener under all kinds of pressure. Steve Burns one time off of Peter Mackey. Ivor Evans couldn't get through. Odinga lays it back for Burns, and this is Gregor Young. And the goal has put new life into Vancouver as suddenly they're playing with the confidence that a 2-goal lead will give you. Burns. Odinga pushes it through for Mobilio and cleared away by John Stewart. Under 10 minutes to play, 3-1 Vancouver. Evans, Roderick, Scott there. Peter Mackey needs some help. Still has it. Finally, Stewart will play it through midfield, and this is David Norman. And now Norman will slow it down and play it all the way back. Norman. And into touch on the near sideline. Titoto will leave it for Norman. Actually threw it by Mobilio. Roderick Scott for Halliper behind him and into touch. He needed somebody running off the ball, but there was nobody there.
Easier said than done, Victor. Running off the ball is an art, and at times when your confidence is not as high as it should be, you really don't want the ball.
Norman. Oh, Guido Titoto takes it off his chest and did well to keep it in play.
I tell you, this youngster's got bags and bags of talent.
It's 3-1, Vancouver leading Kitchener. The Molson CSL match of the day. Norman for Sam Sound. Lovely one touch to Odinga. Giorgio fouled, and it'll be Kitchener ball out of Toronto Italia, the CSL rookie for Petkovic, and just too far. Boy, since he's been wrapped a couple of times,
he's slowed down, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
He really doesn't want the ball right now. He's limping badly, and I think that second tackle by David Norman took most of the sting out of Soren Petkovic. But he's shown a couple of flashes tonight to indicate that he could well be a force in this Canadian Soccer League.
Norm Odinga plays it square. Titoto McQuillan makes the save. Odinga nods it down again. And finally, Giorgio clears it for Kitchener. Just like that, it could have been 4-1, except for a great save by Scott McQuillan.
Came off his line very well, and Guido Titoto, I'm sure, thought he had this into the far post, but the big keeper stretched virtually right across the 6-yard box to deny the youngster.
David Norman plays it through. Odinga lays it square for Titoto. Mobilio is at the top of the box. He'll come back for Norman as the 86ers try and set it up. Titoto. Giorgi watching him. Through for Norman. Ivor Evans makes a run left, a little give and go, and it doesn't work. As Norman, the right fullback, looked like he was a left winger. Almost cheeky at times.
Very cheeky, and there's no way that David Norman is going to contain himself and stay at right back for the 90 minutes. He just has to go forward when he sees an opening.
Pence in the box. Oh, and they play it back for Merkel, as Peter Mackey and Roderick Scott had moved up as well. Steve Burns for Ivor Evans. And the foul is on the kickers. Just over 2 minutes to play. 3-1 Vancouver. David Norman cuts it far post. McQuillan is there. And David Norman is again slow to get up for Vancouver. Peter Mackey lays it back. Ferguson chips it through. Has Scott top of the box. Here comes Halliper, and he just goes up and over the ball, and McDonald clears it. And now Norman is up and hobbling to get onside.
Well, David, that's the trouble with playing right back. If you go right forward to the right wing and you lose the ball, you have to get back, and that's the toughest thing. Going forward is easy. Getting back, it's not so easy.
Through midfield to Toto, wide on the right. Mobilio moves up. Normal Dinga calls for it, and then they play it back for Ivor Evans, making a run through the seam.
Wasn't a bad ball, Vic, was it? Guido Toto had a good idea there to just lay it into the path of Ivor Evans, but Evans, I think, ran out of steam before he could get to it. I like Guido Toto. I think this youngster has shown a lot of patience. He's quite content to sit on the bench and come in. I mean, he played very well for Canada's under-16 team when we broadcast the tournament from Varsity Stadium. Very impressive.
Well, you know that on any other team, Guido Toto is a starter. The 20-year-old, hard to believe, this is his 5th season. David Norman will let it go into touch, as the 86ers content now to slow it down and play out the clock, leading 3-1.
Eric Higgins had a very good game. Been right up with the ball, made his decisions very crisply. Players will appreciate that. They don't like to see a referee hesitate. Should I do it? Should I not? Blow the decision right away and stick by it. And Eric Higgins has done that all evening.
Georgie plays it back and into touch, giving it away. Again, it's a result, if it stays this way, that isn't very flattering to Kitchener, but I don't think they've played a 3-1 loss.
No, I think that Drew Ferguson will be rather pleased with the performance that his Kitchener kickers have given this evening. They've not been outclassed. They've had a lot of possession. They just really have not created any goal-scoring chances. In fact, the coach's goal from all of 35 yards was not really considered a chance. He just seemed to hit it extra well, as he does every now and again.
To Toto. To Toto and over the bar. And everybody now having a wrap.
Well, why not? The one thing I admire about this Vancouver 86er forward line is that they're not afraid to have a go when they feel it's justified, and the youngster demonstrates that here. Here's a goal, but if the opportunity were there to lay it off to a colleague, 10 times out of 10, Vancouver lay it off. They're very, very unselfish. We've seen it 2-3 times in the second half when somebody could have had a shot, decided a colleague was in a better position, laid it square very unselfishly.
Through midfield, Petkovic can't win it. This is Pence. Sam Sound. And the foul is on Sam Sound.
Well, Sammy was injured coming into this game. He's got his left leg strapped up, but he's still on there giving 100%. He's not in there for his goal-scoring ability. He's in there to create chances and to win the ball in midfield, and boy, does he ever do it well.
Always liked Sammy Sound.
Very modest player. I said to him when he scored that great goal against Hamilton in off the post, I said, little lucky, Sam, you knocked it in off the post. Could have gone off the post wide. He says, yeah, you're right. Very modest, but I'd like him on my side, I'll tell you.
And it will end a 3-1 final. Vancouver 1-1 now on this 3-game road trip, and Drew Ferguson still has yet to beat the Vancouver 86ers.
But it was a very promising performance for these Kitchener Kickers. 3-1, really not a true reflection on the balance of play. The only problem the Kitchener Kickers had was that they did not create scoring opportunities to test Rob Merkel in the Vancouver 86ers goal. Vancouver keep rolling along. Once they get back to Swangard, who will stop them? That's the big question.
Vancouver wins it 3-1 over Kitchener. The Molson CSL Match of the Day on TSN. Visa.
The Visa turning point comes 33 minutes into the second half. Kickers trailing 2-1 and threatening to tie it. Then Dominic Mobilio hits it perfectly inside the far post to make it 3-1. Vancouver go on to win by 2 goals. Mobilio's goal, the Visa turning point.
A cash donation has been made to the Coaching Association of Canada on behalf of TSN and Visa for the development of amateur coaches in Canada.
The CSL season, because for a change there might just be a challenge to Vancouver's superiority. But the locals had one break going their way as they got back into action this evening at Swangard. They were hosting Kitchener, one of the worst teams in the league, and Jody has a look at what happened.
In an attempt to shake things up for the 86ers, forward John Catliff was moved from his regular spot to midfield. But the Vancouver captain, who had not scored since June 9th, continued to just miss until the 30th minute when he heads in a Sammy Sound free kick to put Vancouver up 1-0. Early in the second half, Vancouver went up by 2 on Kitchener when Norman Odinga notched his 4th of the season. Dominic Mobilio put Vancouver ahead 3-0 when he picks up his own rebound on a penalty kick in the 61st minute. Just 4 minutes later, it was Mobilio again getting his 10th of the season. At the 75th minute mark, the 86ers go ahead 5-0 on a goal by, you guessed it, Dominic Mobilio, which gave him his 2nd hat trick of the season. The 86ers weren't finished yet, though, as Mark Carpin ended the night on a blasting shot, which gave Vancouver a 6-0 victory.
A couple of crossbars for you tonight again, but finally one went in too.
That's right, yeah. It's the only header I haven't aimed in the last 6. You know, it's nice to get that goal, get you media people off my back, and we'll get on with it next Sunday.
Not a bad way to break out of a goal-scoring slump. Catliff didn't look at all out of place at midfield, did he? 6 is now 5 points up on the Montreal Supra. Toronto's third, 11 behind Vancouver after losing 3-1 to North York. The Rockets are now 2 behind the Blizzard, 1 back of Hamilton. The BC Lions get back